Hi, I'm Rebecca Carner, Biofield tuner. I want to talk about the concept of creating a positive feedback loop and how to create a momentary negative feedback loop so that you can create more broader positive feedback loops in your life. Oh, okay, don't get lost yet. We've only just begun. And then I want to do a tuning on how to identify and be with the momentary changing of the spin between habit and creating a negative feedback loop so as to create a more broader scale positive feedback loop in our life. So one of the things in biofield tuning that I deal a lot with is patterns. Patterns of thought, patterns of behavior, patterns of expectation, patterns of muscular contraction in the body. All of these things create the texture and the quality of our life and their patterns. Positive feedback loops are when we take patterns, we create them, we seek to confirm that this is a thing that we should do, that we want to keep doing, that feels good, is supportive for us. And then we want feedback from whatever our thoughts or deeds or actions affect. We want feedback coming back to us. Yeah, that's a thumbs up. Good thinking, Lincoln. And then we're going to keep doing it. A negative feedback loop is when you kind of, with best intentions or best laid plans, or maybe no plans at all, you go and think and do a thing. And then all of a sudden you get feedback incoming to your system that it's like, nope, that's either a no-go, like a bad idea, or the result of that isn't that's not something that we want again. And so we're gonna not do that again. The funny thing is that we get caught in positive feedback loops around patterns that we're familiar with, even when they don't feel good or don't have good or beneficial or positive results in our life. Communication problems are like a really good example of creating positive feedback loops for something that we in fact do not want. Example, when I call my sister and I ask about her kids, she always gets crabby and testy and rah, 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 and rah, rah, rah. Okay, so now whenever I call my sister, I'm in a positive feedback loop that she gets crabby when I ask her about my kids. This is a place where my sister and I don't communicate. I don't love this. This is a negative. I am curious about her kids, and I am curious about her parenting, and I love them all, and I want to know. But every time I ask, it doesn't go well. So how do I take this positive feedback loop around something negative and make it a positive feedback loop around something positive? The sort of holistic wellness coaching questions would be, maybe you want to ask your sister, hey, when you have a little bit more time, I'd like to set up a phone call because I have some questions. You might want to ask her, I notice you get testy when I ask about your kids. I'm thinking I'm doing this great, and I keep getting indications from you that this isn't great. What's up with that? Like, you can ask about that. But the biggest thing that I find in working with myself and working with others is that sometimes it's not even the step of when you have to ask your sister for the space and time and bandwidth for the conversation so that you can kind of noodle around and get to the bottom of it. It's realizing in yourself, I want to ask my sister about the kids, and she's going to get crabby. Like, I already know in my mind, well, I'm going to do it anyway because I want to ask for the kids. I know I love them. I know I have all of their best interest at heart. So I'm going to do the thing. So that's when I just got really planted in my positive feedback expectation loop around something that's having an overall negative impact in my life and in my relationship with my sister. So interestingly enough, when we're in a confirmation bias, like when we're in an auto-confirming cycle pattern around something, how do we take so it's kind of it's kind of like when little girls would play jump rope, where two kids stand on either end of the rope and make the thing, and then the other person like waits and then jumps in, right? And so you're jumping. So when you successfully get in the spin of the rope, you just keep jumping. This is a positive feedback loop, right? Because it's like, well, it's coming around. So if I just keep jumping, everything will be okay. That thing won't hit me in the head. It'll be great. But after a while, like, what if you want to stop skipping rope? What if you want to go swimming instead? What if you want to do something else? You've got to break that. And it's hard because you're already in the rhythm of it, right? It's like, well, when's a good time to jump out? I don't know, because, oh, here the rope comes again. Oh, let me jump. So you get to where you anticipate the known rhythm, even when it hurts or sucks or isn't working or whatever. Whew, great. Okay, so I'm going to start tuning right now. So this is really what I want to tune into today. How do you catch a positive feedback loop that's having a negative effect so as to momentarily create a negative feedback loop so that you can create something more positive, right? Because that's not tricky to say. All right, so I'm going to ground us all that's the thing about positive feedback loops. I was listening to some scientists talk about positive feedback loops, and I was kind of following along with them, and then they started talking about positive feedback loops around sort of negative results in a system. It was around like measuring body chemistries or something like that. And so whatever the experiment that they were running was having an ill effect on the body, but they were in a positive feedback loop, meaning they expected the thing to go bad in the body, and it did. So that's synonymous with confirmation bias in that way. But it's weird, in my therapeutic practice, when I tune people and when they present me with some of their struggles, it's like they fully well know that something isn't serving them well, or it doesn't feel good, or it's deteriorating their health or whatever, but it's become such an expectation. They're in such a deeply held supporting feedback loop, right? Positive feedback loop, in that it keeps like that, like the jump rope that you can kind of see coming back around, because it's so rotely expected. You just keep doing it. Well, it's the thing I always do. Well, I know I'm good at that. Okay. Well, what if you want to do something else, right? Wow. It's weird. I think, oh, well, this must be the place where that I truly detest this expression. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. I don't know if anybody else has heard that. I detest this saying. It has zero curiosity. It has zero innovation. It's not very scientific. It's not very intelligent. It's not seeking to understand. It is literally, the devil I know is that the rope's coming back around. It doesn't matter whether I want to keep jumping rope or not. I'm going to keep jumping because here comes the rope. It has that better the devil you know than the devil you don't. It takes away a lot of agency. It takes a lot of sovereignty away from an individual. It just means, well, I'm locked into pattern, whether it's good or bad. Usually it's bad, and I'm just not going to do a doggone thing about it. Well, yuck. Yuck. I hate that. But it's interesting because I'll tell you what it brings up as I'm tuning the collective energy body around where do we hold? It's like we hold the we're back to that profound anxiety around, but what if I get it wrong? Like, I'd rather do something that hurts me than risking being clunky or risking not knowing for a second, or even risking the energy that it takes to try something new. Like, truly, I'd rather commit to having something slowly suck the life out of me than given that little bit of extra oomph, that little bit of extra energy that it takes to try something new, ba-doom-cha, instead of just doing the same thing. Okay, well, that ba-doom-cha took a few extra units of energy, a few more calories, a few more thoughts, whatever. But I didn't ruin the video. I don't think I'm going to lose any clients because I went ba-doom-cha in the middle of my video, right? But it's a change up that I don't know how that's going to go. Wow, it's like in the stomach, it's up in the throat. I felt it in the back of my shoulders. The thought of, what if I do something different? Wow. Whew. Everybody was incredibly worried about that. I'm going to butcher the quote, but I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson's, one of the chapters in his latest book, Starry Messenger. And he was talking about people labeling people. And he said that labels, I wrote down the quote and then I even read it to somebody since I wrote it down last week. Labels are an intellectually lazy way of asserting that you know everything about a person that you've never met. And positive feedback loops are like self-behavioral labels that we need to remember to go through and inventory. Because so many of the things that we do that we're in a positive feedback loop. All right, so somebody near and dear to me has a belief that being stoic is an effective way of minimizing emotional upset. And he's caught in a positive feedback loop because in many of the professional and personal and familial relationships that he's in, when he acts stoically and kind of holds back on words, doesn't share internal emotions, diminishes the other people's emotions, emotional display and or emotional experiences when they're being recounted to them, when he kind of dials that down. He doesn't have to deal with a lot of fall-du-rah. So he's in a positive feedback loop that confirms that his behavior avoids conflict or hurtful emotionality. Because of some recent feedback, he is now learning that while he has avoided certain emotionality, it's not actually positive in his life, this stoicism. So he's getting negative feedback put in his perceived positive feedback loop. When I do this, it's good for me and good for those around me. Except he's hearing feedback. This isn't great. This isn't great. But he's stuck in the expectation. Oh no, this is the right way. This is the right way. So how do you take inventory? It's like literally, I both kind of can't swallow and can't breathe at the thought of the thing that I'm doing isn't the thing that I should do. It's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do then. Okay, everybody, whew, let's take a nice big breath here. I'm going to wave some weighted forks kind of around the shoulder and around the sternum. And let's really break up that sort of, that kind of moment of momentary stuck. Yeah, it's like a vacuum, right? A vacuum sucks the air out of the room. It's like it kind of knocks the wind out of me from the inside to think, I can't do that thing. I can't do that thing that I always do. That's my positive feedback loop. I need to break that, create a momentary negative feedback loop in myself. Ha, ha, ha. Whew. All right, I'm going to tune right into everybody take another big deep breath. Okay, so next week's video is going to be around how being soft is strong and how being soft is safe. And I'll tell you what I mean by soft. So as I'm tuning in deeply, it's weird, like I feel a lot of things in my stomach when I tune either an individual or a group. But this, it's kind of where my necklace medallion is. It's like, it's often referred to as the high heart. So it's not the CV17, if you know acupuncture points, acupressure points. It's not the middle of the sternum. It's like a little bit higher. It's below the horseshoe at the base of your neck, but above your middle chest, right? So it's kind of split the difference. And it's like I get like both gung, 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 gung. It's like the place where the cartoon heart kind of pitter patters too heavily when somebody's nervous. Anyway, it's this high heart area, the thought of, okay, that means if I correctly assess that I'm in a positive feedback loop. I'm seeking confirmation for something that's actually a negative in my life, having negative consequences in my life. I have to do a change up. It's hard to do a change up by yourself. It's easier when you can get like a study buddy for that. And here's where the soft comes in. You gotta be soft because you have to be able to say to your partner or to your kid or to your boss or to your coworker, hey, this week I'm gonna try to not do that thing where I talk in the weekly meeting and I just run all over the place and suck all the air out of the room. I used to think that I was really being a leader and I was in a positive feedback loop around that. I'm gonna try not to do that. Because you always sit across from me, if I start sucking all the air out of the room, can you just really kind of keep your hand on the table, but like raise your index finger at me so that I'll realize, oh, I'm doing that thing. Like, you have to ask for help. It is so much easier because particularly when we've been in a patterned behavior or a patterned coping skill, or if we've only just learned that something that we thought was our biggest strength is actually the thing that is driving people to not want to work with us or be with us, it's really hard to even realize all the times that you do that thing. It's really easy. It's not really easy. It's a lot easier if you can get somebody to kind of help give you a high sign, like, you're doing the thing. If you can do it by yourself, it can be an internal noticing and shifting, but it's a lot harder and it takes a lot of self-awareness. And just know that even that, it's kind of slow going. Like, you'll notice because you'll already know some of the times when to look for yourself doing it. But I can guarantee you, because I've having tried this before, you do it more than you think you do, and you do it in areas of your life that you don't realize you do that thing. Like, you might think, oh, I know I do that thing at work at the weekly meeting, but you don't realize you also do that at family reunions and at the dinner table and at book club and, whatever. So if you can have somebody, a little safe person that you can ask for support, that's going to be the easiest way to catch and then curb all of those things. And then the other sort of pro tip is to know what you're going to do instead of that thing. So for instance, when you realize you start talking at the weekly meeting, your coworker across the conference room table is kind of waving the little finger, trying to give you the high sign, and you realize, I'm doing that thing. Already have fed yourself a little phrase or a little way that you can get out of that. Instead of being like, oh, just internally, just like, I can't believe I did that thing. Here I am sucking all the wind out of the room, air out of the room. Okay, great. Know that you're doing it and say, as I find that as typical, I am wanting to share with everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and just wind down what I'm saying and pass it over to whatever. Give yourself a little sentence to get out of it. Or if you realize you're doing it at the dinner table, you can make a little joke. Oh, Mom talks so much for a living. She's talking so much at the dinner table. I'd like to give somebody else. Would anybody else like to share what they've done today or whatever? Give yourself a little outro and have it kind of packed in your hip pocket. Have it at the ready. And then always know what your goal is. Like, if you want to not suck the air out of the room so that other people can add to the team or whatever, when that meeting is done, create the new positive feedback loop there. Oh, I got to listen to what 3 other people said in the meeting today rather than just plan what I'm going to say and listen to myself talk. I'm feeling so curious about where the team can go now that more people are having the chance to talk in the weekly meeting or whatever. And then that's how you create the new positive, because the diminishment of the old feedback loop and the creation of the new positive feedback loop, that is in fact having a positive effect on you. It's kind of like, I mean, every now and again, something can be like a light switch. Like, I was in a positive feedback loop and then I stopped it around that. Like, sometimes that happens, but a lot of the times it's almost like, if you think of locks in, what do they call them? Not a straight, a canal, right? Locks in a canal. You actually can't step a boat down actual steps, so they drive the boat into the lock and then it slowly goes down, and then they drive it into the lock and then it slowly goes. So it's the same effect of creating a positive feedback loop about something more positive in your life, is that you kind of have to slowly diminish the feedback loop or create the negativity. Like, okay, so ask your study buddy, if I suck all the air out of the room, kind of tell me harshly when we go to my office afterwards, you did that thing, like really create a negative feedback, I mean, in a safe way, but create a negative feedback loop so that it's not okay if you keep doing that. And that's how you diminish that lock, and then how you raise up the level of the positive feedback loop in the new direction there. That felt a lot better. I'm having a lot easier time breathing around that. Excellent. Yeah, it's just, again, it's like these kind of little whack-a-mole jets of anxiety pop up. It's like, but if I don't do the thing that I know how to do, positive feedback loop, if I don't keep in that pattern, what if I look a fool? What if I look silly? What if I look like I don't know? What if at any point in that I say, I don't know? As one YouTuber that I saw, like, believe me, even if it's a little awkward, everybody around you is going to appreciate you changing these patterns, creating a momentary negative feedback loop in your system. Even if you look goofy, even if you look sort of on the back heel, it's going to be better. Everybody, including you, is going to be happier in the end if you're a little clunky than if you keep doing the thing that you always do and stay in that jump rope loop. Everybody will be happier. Yeah. And particularly if you are in a leadership role, either in your family or in work or whatever, please model how to identify, no matter how expected something is, to be able to identify when something isn't good, noticing or beginning to learn what you even might do instead, and then instituting those changes. Modeling that, was it Richard Rohr? Somebody said everything goes into one of three boxes: order, disorder, new order. You can't go from order and go clear into new order. It doesn't go. It always has to go through that middle box, which is disorder. We've got to model in ourselves and in our society effective ways of going from known order into some sort of rearranging disorder. Yes, I said it, disorder. Doesn't mean that you're disorderly for forever. It just means you can't keep doing the one thing. So do something different. I don't know, a little goofy. And then all of a sudden, new order. Now I know what to do. Okay, wasn't that bad? Like, really, 9.999 times out of 10. Even when it's a little goofy, it's funny, or it's whatever, or you model change, or even the change up, if not smooth, people are so happy for the better solution that they're like, oh, thank God. Thank God she hiccuped her way through that. There. Because now it's so much better. For everybody. I'm so glad she did that. And really, to the one person who says, well, I'm so glad it's better now, but it was a little bit awkward there for a minute. You know, yeah. And then create the positive feedback around the better change. It was awkward. Do the thank you. Thank you for being with me through that awkwardness, because I agree with you. It feels so much better now that the team and I are doing it this way, or, whatever it is. Because you will have the person or people who are going to focus on the hiccup, but when you've landed it and stuck the landing into the new goodness, whatever knucklehead has to focus on the hiccup, just deploy a little grace and say, yep, it was hiccupy. I'm so glad that we all managed to navigate that one hiccup in life so that we can do this so much better. Yeah, there we go. And then think how much more powerful the positive feedback loops around the positive pattern. That's like double positive. So this, my parents, when my sister and I would fight, my parents would say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Well, this is a place when you're in 2 positive feedback loops, like you've created a positive feedback loop around a positive function in life. 2 positives make an awesome sauce. Like 2 positives. Yeah. Wow, everybody could feel that. It's interesting. Even the most anxiety-ridden person, even the person who's really had a lot of hard knocks in their life, almost everybody really knows what a change for the better feels like in their system. You have some felt, not like I remember a time where I thought it was better. Let's get out of the head. When it feel, that feeling when you realize, oh, wow, I ate less sugar, and then the next day my joints really weren't as inflamed. Like, I feel better. Like, that is so empowering. It's not like, I know I am better. No, I got up from bed and everything hurt less. Oh, that's a feeling. Like, I know that. That's not an idea. That is not a concept. That's solid in the body. There. Nice. All right. And then that's when you get that sort of extra payoff, that's what funds the next round of that's what gives you enough juice for the next changing of the pattern into something more positive, is that felt experience of, oh no, I know, that is so much better. It was awkward for a second, but I caught myself from doing the thing that no longer is working. Even though I know what to do and I know what to expect, I took the risk and I changed it up, and everything feels so much better. That gives me enough push to do it again in some other department of life. Nice, nice. All right. All right. Please visit RebeccaCarner.com if you'd like to book a private session or read a little bit more about Biofield tuning and what it can do. Otherwise, here's to creating positive feedback loops around positive patterns in our life and not vice versa. And yeah, unless it winds up being about something else, and look forward to my next video, which is about how to be soft and using vulnerability as a strength, and knowing that we can be soft. We don't have to be tough to be safe and strong, that we can be soft and curious and open and still safe and strong in this world. Thanks so much. Have a great day.